Welcome, my beloved sisters and secure brothers. Welcome to the 20th annual Ultimate Women's Power Lunch. I know that many of you have joined me year after year. Can you believe that 2 decades have passed? I offer a special greeting to the newcomers. Thank you, one and all. Last year, I was so disappointed that we couldn't meet in person, all squished together in a huge ballroom or two, friends, seeing friends and feeling the exhilarating energy of a couple thousand feminists. But here we are again, meeting remotely, and I thank you so much for that. I told you before that I used to get a new outfit for every one of the lunches. But like last year, once again, I whitened my teeth. And this year, I made another upgrade. I seriously tweezed my chin. Okay, too much information. Next year, though, I feel confident that we will be able to actually be together, touch each other, and maybe even share a hug. In the next hour, you will hear lots of women's voices, powerful voices. But first, a few thank yous. This event would not happen without my host committee, many of whom have been with me even before the first power lunch. I can never thank each of you enough. I love to call out names of each elected official who attends my lunch, but in the interest of your time, I really can't. What I do want to do is recognize my colleagues, my congressional colleagues who are here. And that includes Brad Schneider, Bill Foster, Robin Kelly, Sean Casten, Lauren Underwood, and the newest, welcome, Marie Newman, as well as my friend, Cook County Board President, Tony I'll say it, Tony. My other dear friend, elected officials, President Tony Preckwinkle of the Cook County Board. But the other elected officials are listed on the program that will run on the screen at the very end, as it did on the beginning, just before we got started. So I want to thank you so much for supporting me, all you elected officials, and you know that I will be there for you as well. I must thank Sarah Gersten, the most talented finance director in the country, who organized this entire event, and her assistant, Jackie Tuitt, as well as my political director, Ben Head, who helped elect me and dozens of other Democrats. I am so lucky to have such a great team. Now it's time to introduce my outstanding co-chairs for this year's Power Lunch. Each is worthy of a robust introduction, but I will be brief and they will too. So first is my dear friend, Ambassador Faye Hartog-Levin, who from 2009 to 2011 was the UN Ambassador of the United States to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. A lawyer, Faye is an invaluable leader in many cutting-edge, world-changing organizations in the fields of medicine, foreign policy, arts, and more. She is a force in democratic politics, helping elect great candidates all over the country. And Faye is the woman who came up with the idea of the Ultimate Women Power Lunch 20 years ago. My second co-chair is Alyssa Rapp, and she is the person who organized the first Power Lunch while she served as my finance director. And she is also the daughter of Ambassador Levin. Alyssa was one smart cookie back then, and she remains so today. She first came to me armed with a bachelor's degree from Yale, and later she received her MBA from Stanford. Alyssa has been a successful business entrepreneur, a lecturer, an author, a mother of 2 beautiful daughters, and now the newly elected member of the Winnetka Public School District 36 Board. Last but not least, I am so proud to introduce you to Stephanie Mendoza, the daughter of immigrants and the first in her family to graduate from college. While in school, she worked full-time, established a successful and ongoing business with her husband. She is raising 3 adorable children, works in election campaigns, and volunteers for several local service organizations. And just this year, Stephanie waged a vigorous and winning campaign for city clerk of the city of Evanston, the first Latina to be elected in Evanston's history. So, my dear co-chairs, please say a few words to start us off in the order that I introduced you. Faye, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Jan. I'm so pleased and honored to be here with you to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Ultimate Women's Power Lunch. I do remember how it started. As you said, my daughter was your finance director fresh out of college, and she had organized a lot of small house parties for you. And one day we were talking about it, and she said, you know, we should leverage these women more than their checkbooks. We need to leverage their networks and get them all together. And I said, well, if you did, that would be the ultimate women's power lunch. And so it was. And the first one starting at 600, I think because you had Eve Ensler as your first speaker at the top of the popularity of the vagina monologues, grew, as you said, to thousands and has become not only iconic, but really an event we all look forward to seeing you, to honoring you and your wonderful service in representing us with your extraordinary passion and compassion. Thank you for all you do. It's really an honor to be here.
As you can see, I had perfect role modeling in the ultimate power woman in my mother, former Ambassador Faye Hartog-Levin. But I also had it in the perfect first boss in Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. As her employee, she taught me to advocate for myself. As a rising political fundraiser, she supported me to dream big and act boldly and create something new out of nothing. Even that first event wouldn't have happened without Jan's extraordinary female base of support. I remember our first co-chairs in Karen Lennon, Anita Ponder, and Aurora Austriaco when we came and brought the first Ultimate Women Power Lunch to life at the Drake Hotel. Never then could I have imagined that 20 years later, it would become the go-to political and networking event in Chicago, and one that the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and other Democratic organizations continue to create and model themselves after. I've now come full circle. 25 of my female MBA students at the University of Chicago Booth Business School are here with us today. They take a class with me entitled Women as CEOs, Investors, Directors, and Executives. I'm so proud that we can all be here. I hope we're here 20 years from now, still supporting you, Jan. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Stephanie Mendoza.
Go, Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Mendoza. I'm the newly elected city clerk for the city of Evanston and the first Latina to head the office and to win an election citywide position here in Evanston. I am so thankful for the support I have received from my congresswoman. She does not only believe it is essential for underrepresented communities to have a voice and to look, and to seek to represent our most underserved communities. And even with that, Jan, out of her busy schedule, she has always found the time to actively encourage me, support me, and motivate me to be a strong leader and ensure that our community has a voice here in Evanston. And I appreciate you so much for that, Jan.
Thank you.
Right now, one of the things I have to say thank you for is for your friendship, for being a cheerleader, for being a mentor, and most of all, for being an inspiration to me. Thank you for guiding me throughout my journey. And it is an honor to be here with you, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky.
Thank you so much. I am very grateful to Faye and Alyssa and Stephanie. So we are so lucky in the state of Illinois to have two superstar senators. And who doesn't love Dick Durbin, the majority whip of the United States Senate? For the last 5 years, Tammy Duckworth, one of the most remarkable women that I've ever known, has been his partner in the Senate. I love Tammy because she does not take no for an answer in any aspect of life. She did, however, say no to dying when the Black Hawk helicopter that she was piloting in Iraq was shot down. Rather than succumb to despair when she lost both legs, Tammy said yes to Senator Durbin when he came to her hospital bed to recruit her to run for the United States Congress. Tammy did not stop when she lost that election, but instead accepted Barack Obama's invitation to be the Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Then she ran again for Congress and she won. And next, Tammy made another gutsy decision to run for the United States Senate, and the rest is history. In the meantime, she gave birth to two precious little girls, and in her spare time, she became a best-selling author of a book worthy of reading called Every Day is a Gift. Here she is, the irrepressible Tammy Duckworth.
Hi, everyone. I wish we could all have gotten together in person like we usually do for this event, but it's always good to have a chance to support my dear friend, colleague, mentor, Jan Schakowsky. And thank you, Sarah, for inviting me to participate today. First of all, I want to thank each of you for the work that you are doing to support Democrats up and down the ballot. The last elections proved just how much we need people like you, people who don't just vote, but who volunteer to talk to their neighbors, send texts, make calls, and any number of other actions that help swing these elections our way. Because thanks to your help, we once again have a stable, effective, and empathetic leader at the White House and also in the majorities in both houses of Congress. We have a president who projects calm confidence rather than sowing chaos at every turn or with every tweet. And because of your hard work and the hard work of so many others like you across the country, Jan and I are working with a president who understands what it means to help others, not just himself. With so much at stake right now, from our national security being threatened by domestic terrorists, to protecting women's rights and voting rights, to getting shots in arms and checks in pockets, all of your hard work has been so important in getting us to this moment, and we're going to need that hard work again to win in 2022 and beyond. Investing early in our democratic infrastructure means we can build a stronger, more diverse pool of Democratic candidates so that we can help make our governments look more like the people that they represent. It means we can help make sure we turn out more voters to vote for Democrats up and down the ballot, and it helps us to move closer to keeping our majority so that we can continue making progress for the American people during this once-in-a-century global health crisis. Look, we have to take the opportunity to not only recover from Trump's disastrous, deadly administration, but also to pass important legislation like the American Rescue Plan and the American Families Plan, and build back a better economy that works for everyone and keeps small businesses like local restaurants and music venues from shutting down for good. But we can't forget that these elections are also a reminder of just how important a single vote is. With just 50 Democratic votes, our Senate majority is on a knife's edge, and we're going to need the help of each and every one of you to keep our majority in both chambers. It's not going to be easy because in the name of so-called election integrity, Republicans are working to disenfranchise voters all across our great nation. They know they can't win on the issues, so they're doing everything that they can to limit access to the ballot box. So we have to win so we can protect the fundamental right to vote. We have to win so the Biden administration can pass proposals like the American Families Plan to invest in working families, our children, and our future. We have to win to keep our country on the right track. We're going to need not just resources, but volunteers to help call your neighbors, to host COVID-safe online get-togethers, and so much more. I hope you'll visit janschakowsky.org to sign up to help our friend Jan with her campaign in the coming weeks. Each and every one of you has done and will keep doing your part. I know, I've seen you do it. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you and keep it up. I hope to see many of you again in person as soon as it's safe for all of us to get back together again. Take care.
Thanks so much to Tammy. She is up for re-election next year. And so we need to be sure that she wins, period. Now, I thought it would be fun to hear from some of our past Power Lunch speakers. So here they are.
Hi, it's V, formerly Eve Ensler. I'm so thrilled to be with you at the 20th Annual Ultimate Women's Power Lunch. I bow to all of you, the amazing women of Chicago who move with fierceness, grace, empathy, and tenacity. I particularly want to honor my incredible sister, friend, fearless leader, and Congresswoman, Jan Schakowsky, who has been in this fight as long as I can remember and continues on with such clarity, purpose, moral courage, high energy, wisdom, and always so much love. I feel honored to be with you again. I was here in 2002 at the very first of these amazing gatherings, and again in 2011. I'm here again to stand with you, to honor you, and to encourage you to be bolder than we have ever been before. Progressive women, progressive values are finally having our moment in this country. I look at Cori Bush, AOC, Pramila Jayapal, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. They are ushering in a new day, and Jan Schakowsky, a new politics. And we need more and more and more of them to occupy the halls of power and transform them into the halls of inclusion, equality, justice, service, care, an end to hate, and a love of our Mother Earth. We are living in treacherous times. COVID has sadly set women back years. The escalation of violence against women and children in our homes, the loss of 5 million jobs that women held, the disregard and disrespect for our frontline workers, mainly women and women of color who have put their lives on the line for us, the setbacks in girls' education. But COVID has also pushed more women to run, to rise, to organize, to fight back, to join in solidarity. Every major movement on this planet is begun and run by women. COVID has exposed all the gross inequalities that have been here forever. We need a new mindset, a new way of doing things. As Jan said in one of her early speeches, we believe that the essence of the modern leader is feminine. The people we surveyed challenge the incumbency of masculine structure in the ways of men in restoring trust and solving the most intractable problems we face today. More than ever before, leadership is about being expressive and empathetic. Women need to rise now and demand a new way, a way where the death of nearly 600,000 Americans from COVID would never have been possible because their health would have been our priority. A new way that would put education, healthcare, protection of our nurses and frontline workers, one fair wage, an end to violence against women, and an end to police murdering Black women and men front and center. A new way that would push for a Green New Deal and insist we put all our energy and thinking and spirit into reversing the impact of climate destruction. A new way that would insist on the right of women, the differently abled, people of color, and gender diverse. A way that would put people and care and life over profit and hierarchy and greed and hate. It is so clear how fast, how determinedly things change when progressive women come to power. Let's elect more and more and more, and let's stand with our sisters who are there, like Jan, who have always stood for us. I send you my love. I send you my hope for this future of women rising. I thank you for this amazing gathering every year, and I send you my deepest solidarity.
Hi, I'm Tina Chen. I'm proud to say I was at the first Power Luncheon. I've tried to come to most of the last 20 Power Lunches, except for that 8-year period when I was living in Washington, D.C. But actually, I even came back then to speak at the 2008 Power Lunch with my good friend Valerie Jarrett. And then I was proud to co-chair with Lauren Beth Gash the 2019 Power Luncheon, where we welcomed Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, because that's what the Power Lunch is about. Women of power getting together to celebrate what we can accomplish when we are in power. And that's where we are right now. We need to accomplish the incredible proposals that are right in front of the Congress as we speak, on paid leave, on caregiving. And then we need to get out there and make sure that there are more women elected to Congress, more women and men who will support the policies that working families need in this country. So thank you, Jan, for showing us the way for the last 2 decades.
Hello, everyone. I am so delighted to join the 20th annual Virtual Women's Power Lunch, hosted by our very own Congressman Jan Schakowsky. For the last 20 years plus, Jan has been an active and engaged fighter for equity for women. We know that women's issues are every single issue. And those of you gathered here today in support of Congressman Jan Schakowsky demonstrate your commitment to be a part of this fight. This has been a very tough year for everyone across America. And we know that women, and especially women of color, have suffered disproportionately. But it's a new day. We have a new president and vice president in the White House. And with partners such as Jan in Congress, we have brighter days ahead. So let's celebrate today and then get back to work tomorrow.
Hi, this is Gwen Moore, member of Congress from right up the road in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Oh, Jan Schakowsky, I want to congratulate you on 20 years of this power lunch. And boy, hasn't organizing and eating and dining with women really paid off? We have a woman vice president, and the agenda is about expanding child care, expanding the child care tax credit, family leave, so many issues that reflect on improving the lives of women. Right on and power through this luncheon.
Congratulations to Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky on this 20th anniversary of the Ultimate Women's Power Luncheon in Chicago. Every year, it's just kept getting bigger. And of course, this year we celebrate more women of color in Congress than ever before. It wouldn't have happened without your leadership, Jan. So thank you for everything you've done to get women into politics, for leading in Congress, and for changing the world for the better. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Sarah Jayaraman. I'm the president of One Fair Wage. I spoke at the Power Luncheon in 2015, and I represent 14 million restaurant workers across the country who struggled with a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers, which is a literal legacy of slavery, still $2.13 an hour today, for a mostly female workforce of waitresses across the country who struggle with the highest rates of poverty and sexual harassment of any industry because they have to tolerate inappropriate customer behavior to feed their families and tips. This got so much worse during the pandemic when tips are way down and sexual harassment is way up, with thousands of women telling us they're having to take off their masks so men can judge their looks and their tips on that basis. This horrific situation can be ended by raising the minimum wage to 15 across the country and ending the sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. And you can help by going to onefairwage.org/take-action or emailing me at saru@onefairwage.org. Thank you.
Thanks so much to all the women who spoke. I appreciate it. And now it is my turn. The theme of my remarks is simple. Women are transforming America and the world. Everywhere you look, women are leading. History is being made every single day. We were all so thrilled to see for the first time 2 women on the dais behind President Joe Biden as he made his first address to Congress and to the nation. Vice President Kamala Harris, a woman of color, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House of Representatives. But I have to tell you, as historic and fabulous as that moment was, I also found it normal. Yes, I am happily getting used to seeing women in the front of the line. In fact, what I do notice are situations where women are not included. I expect to see women as news anchors, senators, and representatives at the state and federal level. And there's more today than there ever were before. Labor leaders, campaign managers, mayors and governors, cutting edge business executives, tech experts, lawyers, doctors, and professors. Women are leading the great social movements of the time: Black Lives Matter, gun violence prevention, immigration reform, Me Too. A teenage girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg, took on the world leaders for recklessly ignoring the climate crisis and helping to mobilize young people across the globe. And we see women like Alana Banks in Decatur, Illinois. This year, Alana became the first Black trans woman elected to the school board. And then there's the 36-year-old Black woman, Dr. Kizzy Corbett, a research scientist at the National Institutes of Health, who one night 2 years ago completed her work of making the Moderna vaccine, thus saving thousands and thousands of lives. And you know that our success is good for everyone. As Nancy Pelosi says, when women succeed, America succeeds. And to quote a recent magazine article, the mountain of evidence keeps growing. Women leaders are outperforming, especially during a crisis. Businesses with more of them do better. Countries that are led by women are managing the COVID crisis better than their male counterparts, unquote. You may think that that appeared in Ms. Magazine. Nope, it was Forbes. But lest you think that I'm too Pollyanna-ish, and in case you are one of the many people still suffering from the worst year of your life, I need to acknowledge just how far we need to go. Women have suffered more than the most from the pandemic. Nearly 5 million women have left the workforce, often because of the lack of affordable childcare and elder care. In October, virtually all the job losers were women. Our Congressional Women's Caucus calls the economic recession, a she-cession. The wage gap continues. Women on average make 82 cents for every dollar earned by men. For Black women, it's 63 cents. Asian women, 60 cents. And Latinas, 55 cents. Domestic violence is up and access to abortion is down. The United States has one of the worst maternal mortality rates of any developed country in the world, and a healthcare system that still leaves millions of Americans without care, and prescription drug prices that are unaffordable. No question, we need more women-friendly policies. Sociologist Jesse Kalkarko said, quote, "Other countries have social safety nets. The United States has women," unquote. Sad but true. But as President Biden said, help is on the way, and already the American Rescue Plan that is now the law of the land includes a generous child tax credit estimated to reduce child poverty in the United States in half. Another bill, the American Family Plan, will provide 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave when it becomes law. Yes, in that same bill, in that same bill, there are billions of dollars for childcare. So what a difference an election makes. And yes, we beat Donald Trump, thank goodness. But it's still up to us to bring it all home. These changes will not happen on their own. We need to be up for the fight to get these measures through the Senate, with or without Republican support. In 2022, those elections are just around the corner. You know that the Republicans have introduced literally hundreds of voter suppression bills, and they have passed many of them. This isn't happening just in distant southern states, but it's in our own backyard in Wisconsin and Michigan and Indiana. They are working hard to especially suppress Black and brown voters. But we beat them once, we beat them before, and we can beat them again. We are the women, and we are not going back. Together, we are fierce, we are fearless, and when we fight, we win. So now I am so excited to introduce our fabulous guest speakers, two inspiring women, each of whom has a great story to tell. So first, you will hear from one of the most exciting new members of Congress. Nikema Williams is exactly what you want our next generation of leaders to be. She was a Georgia state senator and always a fierce advocate for social justice. She now represents a historic district held for 30 years by her friend and mentor, civil rights icon, and my dear friend as well, the late, great John Lewis. Nikema made her own history in 2019 when she became the first Black woman elected chair of the Democratic Party of Georgia. In that role, Nikema led Georgia Democrats to the most successful election in a generation, turning Georgia blue in the presidential election and flipping both Senate seats to the Democrats. This is a young woman that you want to watch. Congresswoman Nikema Williams, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Jan. And I am so grateful for you inviting me here today. I saw so many of the women that have inspired my public service work that were previous speakers. So I'm definitely in good company. And I am looking forward to continuing to be a co-conspirator for justice with you in Congress. Y'all, I'm Congresswoman Nikema Williams, and I am also the chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Georgia. And I am so thrilled to be here with you today, speaking alongside Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who we've all watched lead with grace and courage, no matter what was thrown her way, because that's what women do when we lead. And I also need to give a shout out to your state party chair, my colleague in Congress, Robin Kelly, who I'm thrilled to have in the sisterhood of state party chairs across this country. So I'm here today coming off of a really big, exciting year down here in Georgia. And just in case you haven't heard about it, we flipped the state blue in a presidential election year for the first time in 28 years. And we kicked our two Republican senators out of office and replaced them with Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, putting Democrats in charge of the United States Senate. Y'all, it was a huge year for Democrats in Georgia. But let me tell you, no matter what you've heard, it didn't happen overnight. When I was elected chairwoman of the Democratic Party of Georgia just 2 years ago, I can assure you that many people across the country, and frankly, a lot of people right here in Georgia, they thought that we were too ambitious when I said that we could flip Georgia blue in 2020. Sure, we could do it eventually, they told me, but 2020 was aiming just too high, too far, too fast. Well, 2 years later, I'm proud to say that we didn't listen to the critics and the naysayers, and instead, we put in the work. We created a year-round organizing program and mobilized a broad coalition of voters all across Georgia, engaging in places where folks had never had someone come and knock on their door or give them a phone call. We grew the best voter protection team in the country to make sure that every Georgian had the information that they needed to vote and make sure that every vote was also counted. We built the strongest ground game organization that Georgia had ever seen, expanding our outreach further to Black voters, Latinx voters, AAPI voters, and young voters, and they made the difference. And most importantly, we made sure to have strong Democrats fighting for our values in every single corner of the state, because we didn't take a single vote for granted. It was our unprecedented investment in organizing and outreach tailored to specific communities that put Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over the top in November and led John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock to victory in January. But y'all, this work didn't happen overnight. It was based on years of fights that we lost and won, years of momentum and investing in diverse communities across Georgia. You might not remember that John Ossoff ran for Congress back in 2017. His race inspired a coalition of suburban women, Black Americans, Asian Americans, and Latinx Americans in a red suburban district, y'all, the district that was once held by Newt Gingrich. It led people to knock on doors, talk to their neighbors, and deliver record turnout for a special election. Well, we didn't win that election. We lost to the Republican candidate. We don't win every fight, but 4 years later, John Ossoff is now serving as the first Jewish U.S. Senator from Georgia, alongside Reverend Raphael Warnock, the first Black senator to ever represent our state. Well, there was also a big fight that we didn't quite win in 2018, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the gubernatorial race of my friend Stacey Abrams. We all know about Georgia's Republican Secretary of State, who is overseeing the gubernatorial election while also running it, purging voters from the rolls, and made it harder for Georgians to cast a ballot. We didn't win that fight, but we did win other fights in 2018, and we kept working. That same year, after talking to voters and fighting the hard fight, Jordan Davis's mother, Lucy McBath, won the Georgia congressional seat that John Ossoff lost just a year before, finally flipping it blue. And I'm so proud to have her as my sister in Congress, along with Representative Carolyn Bordeaux, who came this year after losing a close race in 2018 by only 500 votes, flipping another Georgia seat blue in one of the most diverse districts in the country. The only red to blue flip in the entire country was right here in Georgia. So progress isn't a straight line. The best we can do is make sure that every election cycle that we're reaching even more voters and making them feel seen and heard, no matter their zip code, their age, their race, education level, or financial situation. That's what we did in Georgia this past cycle, and that's how we won. It took a lot of hard work, but it also took a lot of hope and faith that if we put in the effort, we would be able to achieve what so many across the country thought was impossible. From Illinois to Georgia, no state is too red or too blue to be counted out. And the work to protect our progress, to further our freedoms, and help every person live the promise of America in every part of our country never stops. It's the same kind of work that is happening in states across the nation, which is why it's so important for me to be here with y'all today. From Atlanta to Evanston, Macon to Mount Prospect, Columbus to Chicago, our work on the ground in Georgia and Illinois and across the country is so critically important. The help of the grassroots, of people like you, day in and day out, is what helps strong candidates build the resources across the state and lay out the infrastructure needed to win elections big and small, just like they've been doing in Illinois and just like we did in Georgia. This work isn't always glamorous, it's not always trendy, but it's the work that wins elections and makes sure that everyone has leadership that they can believe in. Because while we may have Democrats in the Oval Office in Congress, our work isn't done until every person in this great nation can achieve the full promise of America with leaders who will fight for them. The 2020 election was a relief to those of us who's been in the fight, fighting the good fight for the last few years. But it doesn't mean that our work is done. There are so many fights ahead. We're fighting one of those big fights down here in Georgia right now. Y'all might have heard that Republicans here are doing everything that they can to make it harder for people to vote, especially people of color. The forces of voter suppression now might look a little different than they did when my mentor and predecessor, Congressman John Lewis, marched on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, but make no mistake, they're still seeking the same results. Our governor signed a law that makes it illegal to hand out water to people waiting in lines to vote. Long lines that they purposefully create, especially in communities of color, to discourage people from going out to vote. That law also limits the use of ballot drop boxes after an election, where drop boxes were used more than ever before, especially by Democrats and people of color. And you know who used drop boxes the most? People that look like me, people that live in our urban centers. This law is bad, but it could have been so much worse. Republicans tried to eliminate Sunday voting to get rid of souls to the polls, which Black churches participate in to get out the vote. They tried to get rid of no excuse absentee voting. Both of those measures failed. And you know why? Because people like you spoke up and made their voices heard. We didn't defeat every one of the Republicans' voter suppression attempts, but we put a dent in their Jim Crow agenda and showed them that it wouldn't be easy to get away with it as they thought. It was the grassroots that did that, people just like you. It was everyday people standing up to make their voices heard. In the face of total Republican control in our state legislature, many thought that they could ram through every last one of their voter suppression measures, but Georgia Democrats didn't let them off without a fight. And we're going to keep fighting back against Jim Crow 2.0 with every fiber of our being from now all the way until November 2022 and beyond. John Lewis taught us that our vote is the most powerful nonviolent tool in a democratic society, that our vote is sacred, but it's not guaranteed, y'all. We know the decades and the great sacrifice that it took for the promise of the right to vote to finally be extended to all Americans. Generations of heroes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, John Lewis, C.T. Vivian, Diane Nash, Andrew Young, Joseph Lowery, y'all, they put everything on the line to fight for our right to vote. They believe so strongly in the foundations of our democracy, in our freedom, in equality, in that core idea that democracy should be by the people, for the people, and that includes all the people. As those great leaders protested and marched, as they faced fire hoses and billy clubs, they did it out of faith in that basic American ideal. They loved this country so much that they were genuinely willing to die for it to make sure that America lived up to its promise. It's because of the work that those leaders did that I even get to sit here today, serving in the most diverse Congress in the history of the United States. That a diverse coalition of voters was able to get out and make their voices heard and vote for Joe Biden. That Kamala Harris is the first woman to serve as vice president of the United States. That Raphael Warnock is the first Black senator from Georgia, and John Ossoff is the first Jewish senator from Georgia. And y'all, this fight ain't over. Right now in Congress, we're pushing to pass bills to protect the right to vote against efforts in states across the country. We're engaging businesses, activists, and everyone who will listen to put pressure on Republicans and let them know that they can't get away with suppressing the vote. This is the pendulum of our democracy. You win some fights, you lose some fights, but you always stay in the fight. That's how we won in Georgia in this last election cycle, and it's how we're going to keep winning going forward. I know that it takes a lot of hope, a lot of faith, a lot of patience, and a whole lot of determination. Trust me, we especially get that down here in Georgia. But when that hope is combined with hard work, with relentless commitment to doing whatever it takes to make the future better for our children, our grandchildren, that's when we prevail. We're gearing up in Georgia for more fights ahead. We're working to defeat voter suppression. I have to defend my seat in 2022. We have to defend Senator Warnock's seat in 2022. And we have a lot of bad Republican state officials that we really like to send into early retirement. So we're not resting. We know there is a lot of work ahead. We in Georgia are so grateful for the support of Democrats across the country in places like Illinois, and we're rooting for you as well from the Peach State as you work to keep your congressional Democrats in office and elect even more Democrats across the state. So as Congressman Lewis always said, find a way to get in the way and keep getting into good trouble, y'all, necessary trouble. I'll be right there in this fight with you. Now back to you, Jan.
Takima, you are so wonderful, and we stand with you. I am so proud to serve with you in the Congress and to organize with you in the communities and on the street. Thank you. So now I am proud to welcome Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, a woman who has been tested in ways that few of us can even imagine. Despite a barrage of attacks from radical white supremacists and the Michigan legislature and former President Trump, Governor Whitmer continued to govern with a steely resolve to deliver for the people of Michigan. Governor Whitmer is tough and resilient. She faced down threats against her life and effectively dealt with a partisan Republican legislature bent on blocking progress. We are grateful to have her here to tell us how she does it. I present to you Governor Gretchen Whitman.
Thank you, Congressman Schakowsky. I'm so glad to be here with you and Congresswoman Nikema Williams, who is fantastic. And I am so grateful for the invitation to speak at the 20th Women's Power Lunch. I was there in person. I think it must have been in 2017 as a candidate for governor. I was told this is the place where all the powerful women are. So I needed to be there, and I'm glad I was. And I'm thrilled to be among such an inspiring group of women, and so grateful for your leadership in Congress and beyond. And to everyone who's joining us, thank you for staying engaged and continuing to stay involved at the state and federal levels. You know, I've certainly had an unusual first term. In 2018, when I ran for governor, I ran on the kitchen table issues, things like fixing the damn roads, improving public education and skills training, protecting and expanding healthcare, cleaning up our water and our environment. And as I said, of course, I'm going to say it again, fixing the damn roads. That was my call to action. And I stayed laser focused on the fundamentals, getting things done that'll make a difference in people's lives. And I still do. But in 2020, the story of the world and of Michigan, of course, took a historic turn. We were tested and we faced a recession. In Michigan, we also had a 500-year flooding event and racial reckoning across our country, not to mention an incredibly divisive election. And each of these things alone would have made for an extraordinary year. But these defining moments happened against the all-encompassing backdrop of a pandemic that was sweeping the world. All of a sudden, there was a new fundamental we had to focus on, and it was COVID-19. Facing these colliding crises, my team and the people of my state stepped up because we had a job to do. Every aspect of our daily life changed. We acted quickly and decisively, followed the science, led with data, and listened to medical experts to save lives. Amidst the lack of a national strategy, it was governors and representatives who stepped up. And I think about my friend J.B. Pritzker, who has been such a phenomenal leader in Illinois and colleague and friend to me. As confusion mounted and people wondered how to keep themselves and their families safe, someone had to fill the leadership vacuum. And in the face of immense challenges, our families and communities and small businesses banded together, as we always have. And I'm sure you saw the same in Illinois. Essential healthcare and frontline workers did their work heroically, keeping the rest of us safe so we could keep our lights on and our fridges full and our families healthy. And even as a deadly virus kept us apart, we pulled together in remarkable ways. We dealt with a global pandemic. We saved lives and helped the economy recover quickly and made significant progress on the fundamentals that I ran on, like creating 11,000 new auto jobs or establishing reskilling programs, making a large investment in K-12, and of course, working on the roads, fixing those damn roads. We're building our economy better and delivering for Michiganders. And I'm proud of what we accomplished to address the issues that I ran on. At the end of last year, I had a reporter go through everything that had happened in 2020 and asked me how I navigated it. And he reminded me of some of the things that I had forgotten, even though I lived through it. It was a stunning moment, but together we actually did incredible work, adapting to the challenges that Michiganders were facing by staying focused on what mattered and getting things done. And despite all of the challenges that came our way, we were able to stay focus on the 10 yards ahead while we planned for the next 100 yards. And the reason I think I was able to personally get through it was because of my experiences. And I'm not talking about my professional experiences. You may know me as Governor Gretchen Whitmer, or that woman in Michigan, as you know who used to refer to me. Or you may have heard my slip of the tongue when I said something about Shark Week before the Democratic Convention appearance. Or you might know me as Big Gretch if you've got friends in Detroit. But my story is really simple. My first job was at a lumber store. I stocked shelves at Target and I was a waitress at the Royal Fork Buffet. I went to law school without ever contemplating that I might run for office one day. I went on to serve in the Michigan House and the Senate, where I became the first woman Senate leader in Michigan history. And in 2018, I was honored to be elected governor of my state. And while I'm proud of these professional achievements, the part of my life that really shaped me more than anything else was my lived experience. They say the 5 things that are most stressful in your lifetime will be your marriage, you're moving into a new home, starting a new job, the birth of a child, or the death of a loved one. I had all 5 of these things happen to me in my first term in the Michigan legislature. I became a member of the sandwich generation at the age of 30. As a young mom, I was taking care of my daughter, who I had just given birth to, and caring for my mom at the end of her battle with brain cancer. I was in that sandwich generation, meaning I was sandwiched between 2 generations, and I'm sure many of you are nodding your heads because you've been there as well, or know someone who has. Taking care of 3 generations of my own family, my mom, my daughter, myself, was without question the most challenging and stressful period of my life. I learned to grit my teeth and do the work, and I found out that I could handle what was thrown at me. It gave me some perspective and certainly confidence that I would carry into the legislature and through this tumultuous year we were just coming off of. I'd taken on my mom's insurance company when they wrongfully denied covering her chemotherapy, and used that experience to fuel my energy to reach across the aisle and work with a Republican governor to get Medicaid expansion here in Michigan. 900,000 people in my state have healthcare because of that. So when I ran for governor, I knew this job would be hard. I, of course, could never have imagined everything that would come with it. We led through these colliding crises and even had to have moments where I had to have hard conversations with my own daughters, talking about a plot of militia who were plotting to kidnap and put me on some sort of a sham trial and execute me. And you know what? I got through it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, by drawing on the time from those years ago when I was taking care of my mom and my daughter, starting a new job and a new marriage. My life and experiences as a daughter and mother and working woman have shaped my time as governor. And I know so many of you are in the same time. You might not have the same title, but you're doing the same thing that I've been doing. My ordinary life prepared me for this extraordinary job. And I know that so many people with stories like mine have more strength, grit, and resolve than often they realize. We've seen countless examples of that over the last 12 months. So as I think about 2022, I'm optimistic. We've been tested and we are tough. We have a new president and new vice president to be proud of. They are competent, they are decent, and sometimes they are refreshingly boring, which is a wonderful change. Michigan played a critical role in that election. And while much of our lives are profoundly better, the campaign ahead is going to be challenging. We face a radicalized Republican Party built on big lies and small lies. The GOP in my state and dozens others, and in DC, is hell-bent on restricting civil rights to win. Instead of winning on tangible policies or ideas, their policy is loyalty to a twice impeached, 2-time popular vote loser whose disastrous leadership led to COVID running amok and the death of hundreds of thousands of Americans. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. Now, while I'm glad President Biden did not renew Betsy DeVos's contract, that means she's back here in Michigan. And so we'll be up against some millions in dark money, the DeVos's being the biggest funder of the Republican Party. We also know that Ronna Romney, another Michigander, chair of the RNC, is going to be focused and spending a lot of time on not just my state, but on states that make differences in presidential elections too. And yet, despite the odds and incredible work ahead of us, I know that we can win by doing what we've always done, and that is focusing on the people, on the fundamentals, and making meaningful change that everyone needs. Things like a good place to live, a place to raise a family and send your kids to local schools and know they're going to get the preparation they need. Clean air and our lakes, of course, from thousands of inland lakes across our state to the Great Lakes we share. Safe roads and good, affordable healthcare. We're going to make a difference in people's lives right now, and we're going to do it together. And we're going to draw on our personal experiences as women, as moms, as daughters, and do the hard work ahead. Together we can, and we will, and we are, and we will continue to make that difference. Back to you, Jan.
Thank you so much, Governor Whitmer, it is such a joy to hear you. And I did actually listen to a song that is about Big Gretch. Not only do some people call you that, but they made some music that everyone should try and look up. So I really appreciate it, Gretchen. It's so great for you to be here. I think it's really important to say that you are up for re-election next year. I'm right about that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, the stakes really could not be higher, and we can help. I'm talking now to the power women that are here today. We can help her. We actually have information on how to contribute to Governor Whitmer's campaign that is located in the chat. And plus, we can make plans to knock on doors in Michigan. And I'll be honest with you, I actually love knocking on doors. So we can go together. We can get a bus. I'll be the bus captain, and we will go and do that. So thank you so much for your steadfast leadership. Appreciate you being here today. Thank you. So we are reaching the end of our time together. I thought it would be good to let Nancy Pelosi have the last word. I believe that Nancy Pelosi will go down in American history as the most effective speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. She is an amazing strategist. She is tough as nails. She can get the job done, and she can count votes. She never loses a vote that she puts on the floor. Now, when Nancy is done, please don't log off because there is a truly inspirational short video featuring women leaders from all over the world. Some of you may have seen it. It's worth seeing again. I promise you that you will love it. So after that, you can stay and see the names on the screen of all the wonderful elected officials that are here today. And I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I think you know I mean it when I say I love you so much. And next year in person.
Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to celebrate 20 years of the Ultimate Women's Power Lunch with all of you. Thank you, Jan Schakowsky, for inviting me to be part of this celebration of powerful and effective leaders. Congratulations, Jan, on this great anniversary, on the change that you have made possible with your dedication to meeting the needs of America's working families. I had the honor the first time of joining many of you in 2003 as the new Democratic leader in the House. The next time, in 2007, I joined you as Speaker of the House, along with America's first woman candidate for Vice President, Geraldine Ferraro. A great marker of our hard work and success, thanks to you, Vice President Kamala Harris is now the first Vice President, serving as a valued partner to President Biden in the White House. In 2019, I was thrilled to join you as House Speaker once again. Remember, we needed 2 ballrooms because Jan had such a successful outpouring of support. To join you then, to thank you for enabling Democrats to take back the House for the people in 2018 with Illinois electing Lauren Underwood, Sean Casten, and Chuy Garcia. Little did we know what challenges lay ahead for America and the world with the pandemic to come, putting our lives, livelihoods, and the life of our democracy at stake. But facing previously unimaginable threats to American people, we did not agonize, we organized, and we won. And Jan and Bob are masters at organizing. We won the White House, held the House, and took back the Senate. We then translated our power into real relief for the American people. Because women were at the tables of power, we centered the needs of working families and working women in particular. With the leadership of Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Madam Chair, and her committee, we made investments to cut child poverty in half and alleviate the national crisis in affordable child care that disproportionately burdens working women. To be clear, women made the difference, and we want more, because there's nothing more wholesome in politics than the increased participation and leadership of women in our democracy. As we have proven before, no more clearly than in this past year, when women succeed, America succeeds. Congratulations to you, Jan. Your leadership, your vision, your relentless strategic thinking about getting the job done has made us all very grateful. For all of us who care for a better future for our country, thank you to all of you for sending Jan Schakowsky to the Congress. Here's to the next 20 years of powerful women transforming America. Best wishes on a successful Ultimate Women's Power Luncheon.